Si Miss Sunshine ay nagtrabaho for VP Sara nung siya ay mayor ng Davao City. Tama po.
Mr. Parda,
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, Mr. Farda, lumipat kayo ng Maynila to serve under the office of the Vice President and in DepEd. Tama rin po ba?
Your Honor, yung po kasing asawa ko nasa Manila, so kung ako po ay nasa Davao, so I decided na mag-apply po ako sa DepEd, kaya nagkasama po kami.
Noong si Vice President Sara ay nakabase po sa Davao as the City Vice Mayor, hindi po kayo part ng kanyang staff. Tama rin po ba?
Tama po, Your Honor.
In short, bago kayo naging SDO or Special Disbursing Officer ng DepEd, wala po kayo involvement kay Vice President Sara.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. Dahil sa inyong asawa, si Miss Sunshine, kayo po ay nakilala ni Vice President Sara. Tama rin po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sa makatuwid, tama rin po ba na ang pagiging Special Disbursing Officer ninyo ay ang first job nyo kay Vice President?
Your Honor, Executive Assistant po ako bago po ako naging SDO.
So,
Special
hindi ito
Disbursement.
ang first time na trabaho po ninyo kay Vice President?
Executive Assistant.
Yes. Ang SDO appointment ang SDO ay isang appointment by the head of office. Would you agree with that?
I believe po trust and confidence po.
Oh, pero nag-appoint yung head of office.
Opo.
Thank you. In other words, pinili po kayo ni Vice President na maging Special Disbursing Officer. Tama.
By trust and confidence po.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Chair, as we can see, isa lang ang credential ni Mr. Farda upang siya ay piliin ni Vice President Sara para maging SDO. Ito ay dahil siya ay asawa ni Miss Sunshine. Alam naman natin ang posisyon na SDO requires trust dahil malaki ang funds na involved dito. Sinabi na rin ni Mr. Farda yun. For the case of DepEd, kay Mr. Farda, unang ibinigay ang confidential funds na umaabot ng mahigit 100 milyon. Mr. Farda, are you a regular employee within the meaning of our civil service?
Mr. Chair, Executive Assistant po is also appointed po ng head of the office of the agency, considered po as a regular employee.
Considered as a regular employee and therefore covered po ng civil service rules. Would you agree?
Mr. Chair, hindi po ako masyadong maalam sa rules po ng civil service. So, can I ask someone?
Kasi if you're a regular employee under our civil service rules, the fact that you are appointed in the DepEd as co-terminus with the Vice President and then Secretary of Education, are you trying to tell this committee that a co-terminus employee would be a regular employee within the meaning of our civil service rules? And if no naman, I think you would also be aware that under a joint circular, a special disbursing officer must be a regular employee.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Now the question is, are you or do you consider yourself a regular employee despite your being a coterminous employee?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you are a regular employee. You consider yourself such. Okay. But as a coterminous employee, you serve at the pleasure of your principal. Tama rin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Meaning the principal is the vice president.
Yes,
And
Your Honor.
she can remove you from office at any point in time. Tama rin.
Opo, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, at the appropriate time, I wish to explore legislation on this matter because an SDO cannot be a coterminous employee. We have to remember that confidential funds, when granted to a civilian agency, is related to the functions of the agency itself. As such, the person handling it must be a career employee, preferably of that agency, so that we are certain where loyalty lies. Not just a coterminous employee where incentives are aligned towards ensuring that the principal is pleased with his or her performance. Do we have a representative of the Bureau of Treasury, Mr. Chair?
Comsec?
Your Honor, Bureau of Treasury was informed belatedly, but they will try their best to appear today, Your Honor.
So they're not present today.
Not present today, Your Honor.
Kasi, Mr. Chair, ang tatanungin ko po sana is tungkol po dun sa fidelity band. And the representative of the Bureau of Treasury is the appropriate or proper person to explain to us yung fidelity band vis-a-vis the accountable officer.
Your
Congressman
Honor.
Nakop, I think the the representative of Bureau of Treasury is present.
May I please recognize Attorney Jericho Cadorna, OIC for the Complaints and Investigation Division of the Bureau of Treasury, Your Honor.
Nakapag-oath na po ba siya, Comsec?
Previously, in the previous hearings, Your Honor, he has already taken his oath.
Okay. Please take your seat, Attorney Cardona. Please proceed, Congressman Nakop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney, bago i-discuss po natin yung fidelity band, maaari po ba ninyong explain sa amin o sa committee na ito at saka mga nandito ngayong araw na ito, ano ang accountable officer at sino po ang mga pwedeng maging accountable officers?
Good afternoon, Your Honor, and to the Honorable Committee. Your Honor, to answer the question of Your Honor, as for the Bureau of the Treasury in our fidelity bonding operations, to determine who is an accountable officer, we refer to the requirement of the public bonding law or the definition of the public bonding law as to who is an accountable officer. Section 314 of the public bonding law states that every officer, agent, and employee of the government of the Philippines or of the companies or corporations, the majority of the stock of which is held by the national government shall, whenever the nature of the duties performed by such officer, agent, or employee permits or requires the custody of funds or property for which he is accountable, be deemed a bondable officer. And except as otherwise provided, every such person shall be bonded or bondable, and his fidelity insured in accordance with the public bonding law.
With your definition, Attorney, yung bang special disbursement officer ay isa sa mga accountable officers?
As per my knowledge, Your Honor, in the operations of the Bureau of the Treasury, special disbursing officers are one of the officials who are considered bondable because of the fact that they are in custody or in possession of public funds or property. However, admittedly, Your Honor, as far as the legal service of the Bureau of the Treasury is concerned, we often recommend a different evaluation criteria because special disbursing officers are generally only designated additional accountable functions on top of their core functions, which ordinarily does not involve public funds or property, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Attorney. My question was very simple. Ang tanong ko lang po kung ang mga designated special dispersing officers are also accountable officers pursuant to the definition that you have cited to us. Yes or no lang naman po.
Yes, Your Honor, considering that if they are granted or designated additional functions as special disbursing officers, the nature of the duties then would require custody of funds or property, Your Honor.
And therefore, Mr. Edward Farda is an accountable officer pursuant to that definition.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, ayon sa ating joint circular, an accountable officer is an officer of the government whose duties permit or require the possession or custody of government funds and property, and who shall be accountable therefore and for the safekeeping thereof in conformity with our laws and regulations. As clearly established by the discussion earlier, Mr. Edward Farda is indeed an accountable officer, not only by the fact of his position as SDO, but also by the fact of the confirmation of receipt of confidential funds for DepEd respectively in 2022 and 2023. Now, Attorney, you must be aware of Treasury Circular Number 1-2022 regarding supplemental guidelines on the revised omnibus regulations governing the fidelity bonding of accountable public officers being part of the Bureau of Treasury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, base po sa circular ng Treasury, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng bondable officer? Ito po ba ay nangangaluhugan na may bond na ipinopost para sa kanya?
Yes, Your Honor.
And ano po yung tawag po ninyo doon sa bond na binibigay ng bondable officer?
It is referred to by the Bureau of the Treasury as the fidelity bond, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Pwede po bang ipaliwanag niyo po sa amin, sa lahat na nandito, kung ano po ang ibig sabihin ng fidelity bond in layman's terms?
Your Honor, a fidelity bond or the posting of the fidelity bond is an assurance or the commitment of an accountable public officer that he will faithfully discharge and lawfully discharge his duties, particularly his accountable public duties, considering that the accountable public officer is in possession of public funds or property. It is a commitment, Your Honor, that the accountable public official will faithfully and lawfully discharge his or her duties.
Ano po ang purpose? Is that the last statement that you made? Yan po ba ang purpose ng fidelity bond?
Its purpose also, Your Honor, is for the accountable public official for his fidelity to be covered, Your Honor, to be covered by the Fidelity Fund.
Marami pong salamat. Now, bakit kailangan mag-post ng fidelity bond ang isang accountable officer katulad ni Mr. Farda?
Your Honor, because the reason being is that because the fidelity bond or a bondable officer is or a bonded officer rather is covered by the Fidelity Fund, the Fidelity Fund maintained in the Bureau of the Treasury shall be available for the purpose of replacing defalcations, shortages, and unrelieved losses in their account, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ngayon, sa Bureau of Treasury, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng public fund?
Allow me to just refer to the
Please,
circular, Your Honor. So,
please, Attorney.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. I will quote item Q of the definition of terms under Treasury Circular 2-2019 as amended. Public funds shall refer to funds or public monies under the possession, custody, or control of an accountable officer by virtue of his or her official position or designation, which include public monies of every sort, and other financial resources such as cash, instruments, representing or convertible to money, receivables, and the like pertaining to the government agency, Your Honor.
And pursuant to that definition that you have read, ang confidential funds ng DepEd ay kasama sa public funds under the possession, custody, or control of the special disbursing officer. In this case, Mr. Edward Farda.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ano po ang liability ng accountable officer katulad ni Mr. Farda sa ganitong sitwasyon?
Liability, Your Honor, in
Yeah.
if I may.
Are they accountable sa mga losses dahil sa unlawful deposit, unlawful use, or application of public funds? Unlawful application of public funds? Sila po ang accountable?
Yes, Your Honor. If there is unlawful disbursement, considering that the Administrative Code of 1987 states that every accountable officer shall be personally liable for the funds or property in his or her possession, Your Honor.
Liable din sila kahit attributable ang loss sa kanilang negligence sa paghawak po ng mga pondong ito.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Farda, having listened to the explanation of the representative of the Bureau of Treasury, are you aware of the magnitude of your accountability as Special Disbursing Officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let me confirm. Salary grade 17 po kayo, tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And correct po ba yung aking record na ang inyong monthly salary ay around 35,000 to 40,000? Mali po ba yun?
Your Honor, 41,000. Ganyan po malapit. Hindi ko lang po alam ang exact figure.
So, malapit dito. Malapit dito sa numerong
Mga
sinabi ko.
40 plus,
Ah.
40 to 50.
Yeah. Kanina, napag-usapan natin with the Bureau of Treasury ang fidelity bond at ang purpose nito. Naintindihan mo naman siguro yung explanation ng representative ng Bureau of Treasury. Nung kayo po ba, Mr. Farda, to minimize the probability of theft or crimes in relation to the confidential funds na inyo pong hawak, ano po yung controls na inilagay po ninyo? Kayo po ba ay hiningan ng proof ng iyong income o properties?
Your Honor, ang tanong po niyo po ba yung as SDO, as an SDO?
Yeah, bilang SDO at may hawak po ng confidential funds, may nilagay po ba kayong controls sa paggamit po nito? Or hiningan po ba kayo o pinag-submit po ba kayo ng iyong income at saka list of properties?
Your Honor, nasa SALN po kasi yan. Meron po yung copy po sa DepEd. Nung nag-apply po ako, naghingi po sila ng SALN.
Hiningi po sa inyo ito at nag-submit naman po kayo?
Opo. Nung nag-apply po ako sa DepEd.
Okay. Now, to the Bureau of Treasury, yung bond fidelity is required when you hold public funds. Tama po.
Yes, Your Honor.
At ang purpose ng fidelity bond ay to ensure against losses, shortages, and defalcation by officers or employees accountable for public funds. Tama rin po.
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, ito pong mga nakalagay dito ay to ensure na gagamitin po ng tama and for the specified purpose ang public funds. Tama po ba? Dahil kung hindi po ginamit doon for what is intended for, you are violating the law. Would you agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, would you also agree with me that the fidelity bond should be equal to the amount of public funds that you would hold, being a special disbursing officer. Would that be correct?
Well, uh, I do agree, Your Honor. But that is
Hindi ko po tinatanong kung nag-agree po kayo. Tama rin po ba according to your rules?
as for the Bureau of the Treasury's rules, Your Honor, admittedly, the coverage of the bond is not equal to the amount of the accountability disclosed. That is the present policy or the existing policy of the Bureau of the Treasury, Your Honor.
Now, may I know the reason why pumayag o nag-agree po kayo sa aking contention? Kasi importante po ito dahil pwedeng baguhin natin yung naandun sa Bureau of Treasury.
Well, let me preface my answer, Your Honor, by saying that this is just my personal opinion as part of the legal service, and this does not preempt a forthcoming position of the Bureau. But I do agree with the sentiment, Your Honor, because it has the features of an insurance. So therefore, in order for it to fully insure, you could say the fidelity losses should be reimbursed by said insurance. But then again, Your Honor, that is just my personal opinion, and this does not preempt any forthcoming official position of the Bureau, because really the reason why there is a minimization or limit on the bond coverage is to reduce moral hazards, Your Honor, and the fact that there are fiscal implications because presently the Fidelity Fund are with the Bureau of the Treasury. So to reimburse it fully would have fiscal implications, Your Honor.
Kasi, would you agree also na kung sobra naman ang liit ng bond, then wala na pong incentive to use the trusted public fund properly. Will you also agree with that, Attorney?
I would agree with that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Si Mr. Farda ay pinayagan maghawak ng up to 50 million o ang kanyang approved amount of bond. Based on this data, the approved amount of bond is 4 million while the bond premium is 60,000. Tama rin po ba yun sa inyong mga rules and regulations?
While I do not have the records, actually, Your Honor, because that belongs to the National Capital Region Regional Office, and the invitation was belatedly sent. But if we would refer to the schedule of premium rates, accountability, and bond coverage, if I may ask again, Your Honor, the accountability is for how much, Your Honor?
50 million.
50 million.
That is the approved amount of bond.
50 million, Your Honor, for the bond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Perhaps accountability, Your Honor.
Yes, the accountability is 50 million. The approved amount of bond is 4 million.
Yes, Your Honor. That would be compliant with the schedule of premium rates under existing Treasury circulars. For minimum cash accountability, ranging from 25 million and 1 peso to 75 million pesos, the amount of bond would be 4 million with a premium to be paid, which is 60,000 pesos.
60,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tama sa rules and regulations po ninyo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, paliwanag po sa amin anong ibig sabihin ng approved amount of bond?
That is basically, Your Honor, the coverage of the Fidelity Fund. If ever there are losses, shortages, and defalcations, that is the maximum amount that can be paid by the Bureau of the Treasury. Whichever is lesser, Honor, it could be the amount of loss if it's lesser, or it could be the amount of the bond if it is lesser, Your Honor.
Okay. Ano rin po ba ang bond premium?
It is to be paid, Your Honor, by the agency in order for the bond to be confirmed, or for basically the contract to be binding, Your Honor, that the official is bonded.
Yes. Thank you. In the case of Mr. Farda, hindi po ba maliwanag na ang layo ng approved amount of bond and the bond premium sa amount of accountability po niya? Will you agree with that?
I would agree with that, Your Honor, because such is the present status of the policy, Your Honor.
Yes, yung sitwasyon ba na ito ay tama according to your rules?
According to the rules, Your Honor, it would be correct because that is what is stated under the policy, Your
So
Honor.
normal.
Per the rules, Your Honor, that would be normal, Your Honor.
Would you agree also with me that if this is the situation, there is no incentive for Mr. Farda to properly use the 50 million? Will you agree with that?
As far as the fidelity bonding operations is concerned, Your Honor, considering that the bond coverage is admittedly very minimal, well, yes, Your Honor, just personal opinion, looking at it with the features of an insurance contract, Your Honor.
At we have established a while ago that the salary grade of Mr. Edward Farda is only 17 and thus earns around more or less 40,000 a month. Further, he was not asked to show, or he was asked to show properties, but was not, I think he also was asked to provide a financial capacity to cover the accountable amount of 50 million. So, pinipilit ko pong intindihin how could 4 million bond serve as protection for the 50 million public funds entrusted to a person. Sa inyong departamento, hindi nyo po ba napag-aralan ito? How would a, 4 million bond serve as a protection for a 50 million public fund entrusted to an SDO?
In that regard, Your Honor, as I was not part of I do not have the knowledge on the wisdom behind the matrix of schedule of premium rates because since time immemorial, admittedly, Your Honor, it has been this way. It was just added, or additional items were just added throughout the years. But I would refer it to our principals, Your Honor, if there's a need for the Bureau's position regarding the matter.
Kaya ko po tinatanong, baka I think there's a need already to amend. Di po ba? Kasi yung amount, wala pa nga 20% nung coverage. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, COA, can you please walk us through the steps of obtaining confidential funds? Would it be correct that this begins with the disbursement voucher? Madam COA?
Sir, Mr. Chair, may I ask, can the question be repeated?
Thank you. Can you please walk us through the steps of obtaining a confidential obtaining confidential funds? Would it be true that this begins with a disbursement voucher?
Yes, Mr. Chair, from the cash advances, for the cash advance.
Correct. Tama.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, ano po ang purpose ng isang disbursement voucher?
It is to yung para mag-request nung cash advance, nung amount na gagamitin for the purpose in the DV po.
Okay. Mr. Farda, sa nakaraang mga hearing namin, paulit-ulit pong nababanggit ang inyong pangalan. Sa katunayan, nabanggit din po ang pangalan niyo ni Attorney Michael Powa, spokesperson dati ni Vice President Sara, at dating Chief of Staff sa DepEd. Kilala niyo po ba siya?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. At noong nakaraang hearing, napag-usapan ang confidential funds ng DepEd, pati ang mga YLS or Youth Leadership Summits. Dahil hindi po kayo nagpakita nung nakaraang mga hearing, wala po kaming choice kung hindi magtanong sa mga resource persons na nandito noon, nung araw na yon. Pero ayon kay Attorney Powa, ikaw at si Vice President Sara lang ang may alam tungkol sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Do you confirm this? O si Attorney Powa ang nagsisinungaling?
Your Honor, ang nag-uusap lang po tungkol po sa confidential fund po sa office ay ako at saka si BP Sara, pero regarding po sa operation, may kausap pa po akong iba.
So,
Sa operation,
tama po yung
tama po
sinabi
yung
ko.
kay Michael
Tama
po.
po.
Kay Yusek pa po.
Now, bago po